Alabama Horseshoe Pitchers Association is a organization part of the National Horseshoe Pitchers Association, and we are here today to put on a promotional thing for try to get interest in the people in the Stockton area to come out and start pitching horseshoes. The Parks and Recreation Department here put in 4 real nice courts here, and they're looking to expand in the future. Our ideal is to get people here in the local area, Mobile, Stockton area, to come out and pitch horseshoes, get involved in a league, get involved in a club here, pitching tournaments. I'm from Mobile, and the closest place I have to pitch is the Montgomery area. So we have nothing south of Montgomery. So we're just trying to get something started here in the area, and people here in Stockton have shown a lot of interest. And I just invite everybody in the area to come on out and pitch with us.
They were farm engines, and they pumped water, they ground grain, they pulled a little sawmill, they pulled a little, buzz saw for cutting firewood. They became real popular around 1908 or 10, and they made them up till about 1935. And they took the place of electricity. A lot of folks didn't have electricity, and these engines did the work that electricity did later. And that's about what they amount to.
This is our great-grandfather, James Philip Lipscomb's farm wagon that he used in his farming career in Baldwin County, and we don't know the exact date when he acquired it. It was probably built for him in the early 1900s, maybe even late 1800s, but he died in 1933, and he was using this wagon the day he died out in the cornfield picking corn.
Our dad, our father, actually got it. It was his grandfather's wagon, of course. He was able to put it in the barn and kept it. It stayed in the barn, 2 different barns on our farm here in Baldwin County, South Baldwin County, near Magnolia Springs, for about 70 years. But about a year ago or so, we decided to get it out for a family reunion, and then Edward and their church used it for Bible school because they had it as part of a Western theme, and then we've had it at the county fair and been requested to have it at the Baldwin County Fair again this fall, and of course having it here for Bicentennial for this park today, and then been asked to take it to Stockton. So we'll try to have it out and about. It's one that's been in the family again for about 100 years, and as was mentioned, it belonged to our great-grandfather, James Philip Lipscomb.
You take 1 string and make a double where you've got 6 strings, and then it winds them all together.
You'll have enough. Do a little more.
Yeah.
He'll tell you when you've got to quit. See how you took those 6 strings and you made 3.
Okay, now hold it right there.
Hold it tight.
Now we take the 6 strings and we start them. Okay, turn the power on again.
You got to do it the same way.
And then we make 1 row. You can double it and you can make 12. Boy, you guys are good. Hold it right there.
Right there. Okay, stop. Right there.
Yep, we got it.
Claude Overstreet and I own the pair of mules that are pulling the wagon, and we bought them for that purpose, to do these events and what have you. And when the Archives Department asked me to do this event. They asked me to bring any farm implements and old-timey stuff that I could accumulate, and I have a lot of it in my garage. And we have the doctor's buggy. We have borrowed an actual doctor's buggy made in the 1800s. It's borrowed from Mr. Dewberry, and it's a fragile piece of equipment, and we've got it here. And then we have our Amish-made doctor's buggy replica, and it's the one that we had in the Dr. Bentley's inaugural parade when he was elected governor back in January at the parade. And we just enjoy doing this. And we had Mr. Kenny Weekly out here with his pair of Percheron mules pulling logs. And we have Mr. Eugene Jones here with his gaited mare and riding. And we have Levi Lowry on his horse Lightfoot. And he is riding point with the wagon and helping Claude with the crowds. And then we have 3 of our rescue horses here for display for the public to see and see how well they're doing. We got Caledonia and Chance and Socks. And we just enjoy doing such as this. And I have a lot of farm implements here. I've got a 10-gallon crock for making pickles or pickled cabbage. I've got a 4-gallon churn with a dasher. I've got milk bottles. I've got an old lantern. I've got a Georgia stock. I got a middle buster. I've got an old scythe. We've got corn shellers. We've got a hand cranked grist mill that cracks corn and makes grits. And it's just been a very, very interesting day. And we've had a great turnout, and it's our goal to educate the public and also to help the young people of the area or any adjoining areas that want to visit to see the history and know that life has not always been air conditioning and video games. It's been a hard life for a lot of the older people, and a lot of the older people that have come by have just really stopped and reminisced with us and talked about how they remember using the wash pots with the rub boards and the old lye soap and building fire around the wash pot and scalding hogs and slaughtering hogs. And it's like I said, it's just been a very educational, interesting, wonderful day, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
All right, everyone, welcome this beautiful day. It's April 30th, and we're here to enjoy a wonderful farm festival at Baldwin County's Bicentennial Park. And we're also here for one other special moment, which we're taking right now to rededicate the DeVita Hasty Nature Trail. And thanks to some very special people, we now have a new monument that we're going to unveil today. But before we do that, we want to talk a little bit about Miss Hasty, for whom the monument is so deservingly placed here on Bicentennial Park. And I'd like to say a couple things before I move on. Briefly, I want to let everyone know that Miss Hasty is very missed, more so each year that we pass without her. She was one of the first 2 or 3 people I ever met when I came to Baldwin County and made me feel at home immediately when I got here. And I miss her terribly, and so does everyone gathered here today. And this is the least we can do for her to keep her memory alive by keeping this trail dedicated in her memory, because she was so devoted to both the history of Baldwin County
and maintaining its environmental stability and integrity. And with that said, one of the two people I mentioned earlier that I met when I first came to the county, I'd like to introduce now. He's also been very good to me since I've been here. He's guided me and helped with making sure that the Baldwin County Department of Archives and History has maintained its integrity and maintained its momentum, and that is the chairman of the Baldwin County Commission, Mr. Frank Burke.
I just thank you, John, for the opportunity to be here, along with all you other Baldwin Countyans and outdoors people and friends of DeVita Hasty and this wonderful, beautiful place on a beautiful day. Mr. Smith's going to follow up with me. He grew up and knew DeVita even better than I did. I knew her as a friend from a long, long time ago. I don't want to say how many years ago, but DeVita was a wonderful person. She was an educator. She always believed in teaching, whether it was children or old guys like me, new things. She was always teaching us about Baldwin County that she loved, about nature, about the river, about people, and how we could all work better together. She was a great facilitator. She was the best leader I ever met, and she did it with calm, soft words when in a mixed crowd. But if she got you off by yourself, she could talk straight to you and look you right in the eye and give you a good plan how you could move forward with these things. I know she's pleased today with the weather we have, with what we're doing here at Bicentennial Park, and how this all came about. DeVita was right in the middle of it, not pushing it, but she was helping it to navigate us through those troubled waters at that time, and I believe she and her spirit are still doing that today. And if I can just introduce Mr. Leslie Smith right now.
Whether we were going through Stockton or coming back through Stockton, almost invariably we saw a cute young pair, a boy and a girl, riding about the streets of Stockton on their Shetland ponies. The little girl was DeVita Richardson and the little boy was Tom Galls. They had on their Western regalia, the boots, the Levi's, the colorful shirts, the bandana, and the little girl always had a big hat hanging down her back, tied around her throat, and her hair flying wildly in the wind. They acted like they owned the streets of Stockton, and I guess they did. They certainly owned the hearts of the people in Stockton. Now, I didn't see very much of them later in life until we all became adults. I'm sure I was in school with them, but I was a big boy and they were down in the lower grades, and I was already through high school before they got there, and then there was college and there was teaching experience for me in World War II. So DeVita was making a new life with her new husband, John Hasty, on their new business that became Live Oak Landing. And it was there that I first became really acquainted with them and good friends with both. DeVita quickly acquired a reputation of being able to get along with everybody in the country. I guess she honed her skills on all of the diverse people that came through her business establishment, but I think it was just a natural gift that she had. But I know it was down there on that beautiful piece of real estate that she came to see the swamp, the delta, in a different way from that which most of us viewed it. I want to fast forward now to a time about 10 years ago when our community spring, our worldwide famous community spring in the thriving community of Latham. It fell into disrepair, and we needed to do something about it. And we did what everybody else in the country does. We went to the DeVita because we knew that she had friends in high places. It was only a day or two before the whole county commission was up there planning how to make a nice little community park out of that spring. I tried to tease DeVita about it. I asked her, how do you get these people to bend to your will? Do you cast a magic spell on them? She would just smile and shake her head. But I caught Frank Bate coming out of the Stagecoach Cafe one day in the parking lot, and I said, Frank, what kind of a hold does DeVita have over you people that she bends you to her will? Frank laughed and he said, oh, it wasn't anything like that. It's just nothing like that. He said that when she comes before us and asking for something, she's just so doggone nice about it that we just can't help but do what she says. Now let's forward back to that other time, back to a time when everybody in this part of the country was drawing their living either directly or indirectly out of that delta. And let me tell you, we didn't do it gently. The first thing we did was go and chop down all of the tall old cypress trees that grew along the banks of the river if they were close enough to fall in the river. And we bundled them into rafts and we put a little building on them and we got on them and we floated them with poles and paddles down to the mills in Mobile. And when those trees ran out, we devised other ways to get out into the swamp. We killed half of the animals in the swamp for their skins, all we could find. We went and took over the old Indian clad patches along the banks, and we made them into plantations. We ripped and tore at the vegetation. And we made our cotton plantations and floated it down to the river in steamboats that were devouring all of the young ash trees that were within a mile of the bank of the river, because those ash trees would grow well, would burn well when they were wet. We had to go after the other timber. In the upper delta, it got dry enough up there so we could put ox teams in there and ox wagons and haul it out. But down here in the lower delta, there was no way to do that, and we invented the pull boat. Now, let me tell you what a violent thing that the pull boating operation is. Imagine a huge piece of machinery with a steel drum on it with miles of cable that would reach out into the forest for a mile on it. And then there were side roads on each side. And the first thing we would do was pull those logs to the main road, and then we would take huge steel cones out there and we would gather those logs up and pull them into that steel cone, and we would take them to the river at a speed of a slow freight train. Water and mud and trees and limbs would fly feet in the air, and the ground would shake on all sides of us. Any bears that were left in the country were scared out of the country by all that racket. We tore great trenches into that swamp, and we drained all the little ponds that grew all the crawfish and little marine life that sustained all the animals in there. We just tore up the place. And it was DeVita who was the first among us to realize that we needed to start healing some of the scars that we had left upon this land. DeVita, with her quiet way, made friends with people in high places. For all her gentle ways, if DeVita were among friends that she knew would not take umbrage, she had a kind of a sharp tongue. Let me tell you about one of them. I went down to the Stockton Cemetery one day, and somebody had cut down the old cedar trees that I thought were so pretty. DeVita was on the cemetery board, and I knew about it. So next time I saw her, we had what I'll call a little discussion. And you know what she told me? Get used to it, she said. Get used to it. Well, DeVita's been gone these 2 years now, and I miss her. But if she could hear the good things that we're trying to say to her here this morning, you know what I think she would say, Lynn? I think she'd say, get used to it. But I can't get used to it, and the people of Stockton can't get used to it. And it is for that reason that it gives me such pleasure this morning to say to the county commission and to any other you people who are responsible how much we appreciate your using DeVita's name on this beautiful park. You have honored us when you have honored our great Stockton lady.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Now I'd like to introduce the director of this park, and who's made most of this possible today, who has worked diligently for the past few years to turn what was just basically an overgrown area into what you see here today, and to work toward building this 2-mile-long walking trail devoted to DeVita Hasty, Nick Warren.
Good morning, y'all. I don't think it would be appropriate if I didn't add a few things about DeVita that I always found funny. Like John, she was one of the first people I met when I came down to interview to work here. After I got hired, she showed up about 2 days later, and she said, well, I'm not sure we should have hired a boy from Louisiana. There's enough local guys, but we'll see. And that was all she said, and kind of looked at me. Well, we actually became very, very good friends. She usually stopped every morning to have sweet tea in my office, and we'd talk about different legends and stories and possibilities and different things. And a tougher individual I never met. I'd be out working these trails, and she'd be right there with me the whole time. The only time I ever saw her ride, she looked like the Queen of Sheba, and I believe it was in the back of George Riley's mule. They had a big chair set up there. She looked like Queen of Sheba driving through there, and I said, DeVita, I've never seen you ride. And she said, well, don't tell anybody. But she is a real special person. When she died, it was a heartfelt loss, I can tell you that. Everything you see here is her spirit, and we do miss her. With that said, I'd like to introduce Mr. Steve Pryor. He's got a few things to say.
Thank you. I am Stephen Pryor. I'm the director of the Baldwin Legislative Delegation Office, and with all these people that knew DeVita for so many years, I feel a little bit like kind of the newcomer coming in, and I guess in a way I am. And I'll never forget when my family first moved to Stockton. Stockton has a way of welcoming its newcomers in, and all the people who have been here for generations, and literally generations, they come in, they welcome newcomers in, and they have to ask, where they're from and where they go to church, and it's really quite a welcoming community. But DeVita, she was unique. She was a very special lady. She drove past my property, and I was doing a lot of work preparing for my small family, and we have a number of small children. We actually have 6 small children, and I was out preparing the property for my small family to move in, and I think I had my arms full, and she drove past and honked her horn, and I was obviously occupied with my hand, so I didn't even wave. I just kind of probably nodded or something. She drove back by, and she introduced herself, and she said, I'm not sure where your people are from, but if you're going to stay here in Stockton for long, you need to learn that that when somebody honks their horn, you have to wave. Well, over the years of knowing Davita, she and I got a good laugh about that, because I would catch her a couple times not waving at me too. So we had fun with that. But after a few years, I got my job with the Baldwin legislative delegation, and I found out that Davita was connected. And she was very well connected in the political realm, and everybody knew Davita. And I found out that she was quite the historian too. Everyone knew Davita, and Davita knew Baldwin County history probably better than anybody that I knew. I knew Representative Shiver when I started working with him, and he had played an instrumental role in this monument that we're unveiling today. You know, he told me some great stories about Davita, that, you know, when he was growing up, when he was in high school, she was instrumental in the Baldwin County High School Key Club, and she played an instrumental role with them. And then when he came back from college, he used to play tennis with her. Now, he wouldn't tell me who had the winning record, but he did say that if they played doubles against anybody, they were sure to win. But, you know, Davita had such a great sense of community. She had a great sense of history, but she loved Baldwin County, but most of all, she loved Stockton. She had this kind of Norman Rockwell sense of community where people walked to school, they walked to church, they walked, you know, and they would walk past the store, get, you know, penny candy, and as they walked past your property, they'd wave. Davita is someone that I will never forget. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Al Garisco. Al was another of the individuals that was very instrumental in getting the monument in. Al, would you like to join up?
I'm speaking for the Baldwin County Historical Society, of which Davita was a member for many years. But the society began in 1923. A lady named Cummings and Alders, they wrote a book, and it was first published in 1927. Anyway, many of the prominent citizens of Baldwin County throughout. Up this way was Blackshears and Cummings and Hasty and Macmillan and Stapleton, and anyway, Davita worked with the Historical Society for a lot of years, and as everybody has said, she's most persuasive in about what she went about, and a lot of logic and reason and persistence, and she accomplished many things. And through the Historical Society, there was a couple of books written and some profits to be made. Anyway, we think to be able to be a part of this monument from the Historical Society, and great day. Thank you for all.
Last but not least, we have one more speaker. Before I get to that, I also wanted to have you all give a good round of applause for our master gardeners, our friends of the park, our staff that really have been knocking themselves out. Even my good friend George Riley, who is up at the gate, who's probably going to be mad that he missed this, because that was Davita's favorite mover-inner, as she called him. Lynn, would you come up and say a few words? This is Lynn Bazone. This is Davita's daughter. And Lynn, I suspect we haven't been hit by lightning yet, so I guess we're okay.
Well, I'd like to ask my brother to come up too. Buddy. I know that Mama would be real proud of this, and we all better be glad that she is not walking on this earth right now, but up there, because she'd kill us all for doing this. She was a very humble person and did never like a lot of attention drawn to her. But I know that she would be proud and grateful, not just for having this in the trail dedicated to her, but to all the friends that she met and loved throughout her life and that carry her memory. So she's not dead, she's just gone for a little while, but she still lives in my family and in each one of you that carry her memory, and I just appreciate what y'all have done. Thank you.
I just, again, like Lynn, I'd thank everybody for doing the monument and everything. I can promise you Mama's looking down from heaven today when she sees all the people, not just standing here, but that can come up here and enjoy this park. She's got a big smile on her face. And just thank everybody for contributing and doing what they're doing to carry on.
Walker says this trail is dedicated as a living remembrance to the life and times of DeVita R. Hasty. May we never forget her wisdom and her dedication and love and commitment to the people, land, and history of Baldwin County. On the back of the monument is a poem that Mother wrote. It says, "My travels. I have traveled little o'er land or sea, yet I have climbed many mountains, crossed many oceans, and walked the dusty desert. Walking many a trail with friend and foe, travels have taken me through many pastures. The trails led me by turbulent streams and still waters. I have walked under the darkest clouds and have seen the most golden sunsets. Through life's travels, I have been richly blessed. I have lived in a house by the side of the road and been a friend to man." By DeVita Richardson Hasty.